Interesting collection of
plethora of noises.
All right, buddy.
Bye, Uncle.
I gotta say, Richard, I sat outside the theater of Rogue One for like 20 minutes talking to some other guys going, Richard's gonna come out. I can't wait to hear what Richard has to say about Rogue One. After your distinctly distaste for the last Star Wars release we got, I was like, what's he gonna say about this one? And now, Richard Whittaker.
You know everything I hated about The Force Awakens?
Yes.
None of that is here, apart from a few moments where they actually basically go, Disney made us do this bit. We're going to make it really obvious, and we're really sorry, and we'll move on, and we won't talk about it again.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. I think we're on the same. Well, not with about Force Awakens because we're still going to disagree about that.
Well, that's because you're wrong.
Well, maybe I am.
Yeah, well, you are.
I'm not wrong. But
so wrong.
But I gotta say, the really only things that didn't work for me at all were those moments where they're pushing fan service in this film. Like, there's moments where you're like, you guys know we're already watching a Star Wars film, right? Why are you feeling like you have to segue so hard Star Wars previous film moments into this, or characters?
There is actually one cameo from a moderately important, but also still background character. I won't spoil who it is.
Yeah.
That you go, so this character is supposed to have got from this location to pretty much halfway across the galaxy to the outer rim.
Yes.
Totally coincidentally.
Yes.
And it's like, this guy is probably the most unfortunate character. It's basically, they establish a Tag and Bink-esque narrative for a background character. He's just going to be places.
I don't know what that is.
You should.
What, Tag and Bink?
Tag and Bink?
Right. Subtitle, Richard's Lecture on British Culture.
No, Tag and Bink's a Star Wars thing.
Oh, is it? Okay, sorry. I thought it was a reference to some 70s British show.
Tag and Bink were a couple of background characters in the Dark Horse's Star Wars run that just kept turning up places. They actually have like this Tag and Bink special and then Tag and Bink again. And they just appear. They're everywhere where there's like a minor background character. It's Tag and Bink.
I really hope they're not going to do that with those characters.
I hope not, because that would be really annoying and frustrating.
But like, we're starting off talking about stuff we don't like, and there is something else I did not like very specifically about Rogue One, but I don't want to launch with that. And I also, unfortunately, because this is not a spoiler review, can't be too specific about what it is. But I will give you the general outline. But let me just say, starting out, I thought this was great.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Star Wars film that people who don't even give a fuck about Star Wars could watch and like on its own and go, wow, that was really cool.
This is so good. It has actually swept the bad taste in my mouth from The Force Awakens away.
Okay.
I mean, I really, at this point, I'm not really that bothered about what they're doing with the core franchise, but this is great.
Well, I mean, like, I personally love Force Awakens, but this gave me a taste for... I'm honestly more interested in the side stories now than I am in the continuing chapters. This is a film that tonally still totally feels like a Star Wars film, and yet is darker than anything they've put out before. I mean, it's certainly closest in tone to Empire more than anything else. And
Empire or Sith.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that a lot of people, well, I'm already hearing online from other critics, are comparing it to Empire in terms of like just quality, of just saying this is their second favorite film next to Empire, which a lot of that is just, you can't not feel that way because of nostalgia, if nothing else. You're like, oh, it's Empire. When we saw it blew us the fuck away. Nothing had ever been made like that. All right, so what is Rogue One about? I'm going to let you do the plot synopsis.
Well, very simply, it starts with the Urso family, who are a bunch of farmers, which is a little bit fan servicey, but they're not really farmers. You have Mads Mikkelsen as Galen Urso, who's actually an Imperial scientist who's on the run. And
because he's been eating people?
Yes, Director Krennic turns up played by Ben Mendelsohn, who goes, okay, you've got to come back and complete construction on the Death Star, because he's the guy that has designed the super weapon.
Is it just me, or does Mendelsohn have a weird sort of lispy thing going on?
He does have an interesting enunciation.
Okay. I'm making sure it wasn't just me.
So Mads Mikkelsen is taken back to work on the Death Star. At this point, his daughter is stuck down a hole and is rescued by Forrest Whitaker, and she grows up to be Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones, who is kind of just disappeared off into being a vague ne'er-do-well of yeah,
she's an orphan.
She really needs a good hive of scum and villainy to hang out in. Instead, she gets rescued by the Rebel Alliance, who go, okay, we need you to go find your father, because we have an idea that there is this super weapon being built. We need the details from him. But she gets teamed up with Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, who's a rebel intelligence officer, basically a commando / spy. And that's the key to this.
Yeah, let's stop there for a second and examine that. Diego Luna being kind of, in a way, key to what makes this so different from every other Star Wars film, is that this is a shades of gray Star Wars film, even more than much more than Empire, which really is just good, evil, figure it out. This is like, to defeat evil, you gotta go to gray. And Diego Luna is, like, in this film, really the symbol for those guys who are, like, not nice people, but know what side they belong to, and are like, look, I gotta do what I gotta do to make sure the rebellion succeed here. And that's the tone of this film. It's a Dirty Dozen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's really... I mean, before I watched this, I was talking to another local film critic, and we were talking about Christmas films. And in the UK, we watch war movies at Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, that's what we do. We watch, The Battle of Britain.
What?
633 Squadron.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why?
A Bridge Too Far.
Why? Wait, why?
Because something like A Bridge Too Far, you have to be filled with turkey and basically a mobile in front of the TV to sit through all 3.5 hours of it.
Look, I feel like the Christmas rule is it has to at least at one point have like a Christmas decoration in the background, or it's not a Christmas movie.
But that's the thing.
That's why we say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, because we're like, well, technically.
What Gareth Edwards has done here is he's made a British Star Wars Christmas movie.
He has.
Because this is a war movie. This is a classic 40s, 50s war movie in tone, in texture, in the fact that there is real risk for characters, because these aren't the epic characters. These are the people who die in the background, and the camera is focusing on them for a change, which is really a radical approach to take this. You do have moments where you're seeing characters that you've seen before.
Here and there.
There's some very nice little touches.
Obviously, if you watch the animated series Rebels, Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera has been a character in... was it Rebels or Clone Wars he was on?
He was in Rebels.
Rebels, okay. He's appeared on...
No, he was...
I don't know.
Clone Wars. He was Clone Wars.
Okay, Clone Wars. So we've seen that character. And is that the first time that the side canon has appeared in the primary canon? Because I want to say it is.
I think it may be. I think there was a nod to something in The Force Awakens. But then the Kyber crystals. This is the first time explicitly that we've had the Kyber crystals be a plot line.
That's true.
In the core continuity.
And it feels like in the core continuity, this is the first time they've kind of used them not only as a sort of thing that you put in the lightsabers, but a thing that power is a giant source of power regardless. Like it is the oil of the Star Wars universe, which was not lost on me that perhaps that was something they wanted to insert there.
Yeah. One of the interesting things we really need to talk about is the fact that while this undoubtedly feels like a Star Wars film, and in fact, most perfectly so when it doesn't actually hit you over the head with Star Warsy moments, and there were a few moments where I'm like, I didn't need to know that. You guys needed to back down a bit and not hit me in the face with that. And I sense that was studio interference.
Sure.
Because it's so organically Star Wars.
Not Bail organically? Sorry, hold on. Come in!
Really? You had to...
Yeah. You had to do that because Bail Organa is in this film.
Yes, and aged by Bail Organa. But the
Sorry, we're getting ready to record lots of reviews, so you're going to see background people moving around. Sorry.
So, but what it does really beautifully is it doesn't do some of the things that you associate with the core story.
Yes.
There are little visual tricks. I think it's very weird seeing Once Upon a Time in the Galaxy far away,
yeah.
and not having the John Williams sting. It is so weird having that moment.
It is weird, and there's that moment of weird, and then you go, hey, I liked that.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And this is not the first Star Wars movie not scored by John Williams.
Yeah.
Michael Giacchino, who is definitely channeling Williams
Heavily.
in a huge way. But how could you not?
Who was supposed to be doing the score originally?
I don't know that.
Because he got put on very much at the last minute. Even for that, it's actually a really good score.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is an excellent score. It's interesting the way they maneuver the leitmotifs of the classic Star Wars themes in and out of it, only very occasionally choosing to make them so prominent as where you can't miss it. Let's not forget, of course, when we get to see Darth Vader, who, yes, as you watch the trailers, Darth Vader does make a real appearance in this. And it's more than a cameo. Holy shit, it's actually my favorite Darth Vader moment, in I don't even know how long in the end of this film. Fuck!
It's very. I was watching it and I was thinking, there's no way that they didn't take on board what's been done in the Darth Vader comic.
Yes,
which just finished. It really much absorbs that. It also seems to absorb a lot of what was done by Dark Horse in the Dark Days series that they did after their Clone Wars run.
Yes,
and it really feels like it fits beautifully in after that. So if you remember those, which I think a lot of hardened Star Wars fans will do, it really feels like continuity from that. And it is this thing that this does fit in. As this is really the birth of the rebellion. This is the moment where they really start to fit the pieces together.
It's interesting. It's exactly what you're talking about. The rebellion is so splintered. They're like, what should we do? We should do this. We should do this. It sounds a lot like what's happening right now in America with the Democratic Party. But
there's actually a moment where it. And I know people are going it very much ties in with the original trilogy. And a lot of people try to say, it ignores the prequels. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Not in the slightest. In fact, there is a moment which really feels like this is the failure of the rebellion, and the moment where it could fall apart is when it starts acting like the old Senate. And it really evokes that moment again, and does it very subtly and beautifully, and ties that in. And I think it again proves that Edwards is just a great director. Really understands what he needs.
It literally very, much more so than The Force Awakens ever does. It references the prequels because Jimmy Smith is in it.
Yeah.
Has a brief, but not cameo brief appearance in it as Leia's father. I love that really is, you're right, that's that point. That's one of the core things about this movie in that beginning of the third act, really, where you're like, they're all fighting. They're all like, oh, no, I disagree. I don't know. We don't know for sure. And then, we get that great moment where the title of the film is put in stone, 10% into the third act. And you realize what you're watching now is what you came for, is that Dirty Dozen, fuck it, we're the guys who do what needs to be done. Even if we don't have the stamp of approval from the bosses.
And the team that they assemble in this is great. I mean, Donnie Yen as Chirrut Imwe, who is this fantastic, basically a Buddhist monk who believes in the Force. He's not a Jedi.
No, but he does have access to the Force.
Yes. He is a Force wielder. And this is the first time in the films we've seen a Force wielder. Yeah, which is a whole big part.
Is that a thing in the other canon?
That is a thing. It's people who aren't Jedi but have aren't Sith, but they have access to the Force in a way. But he's still very tremulous with it. He has
his ways that he is literally obsessed with it in a way that even the Jedi aren't.
Yeah, and his best friend Zhang Wen is Baze Malbus.
Yeah,
which really the beautiful balance between those two.
They have almost sort of weird Han Solo Chewbacca relationship.
Yeah.
It's not just like that, but it is. I thought of that while I was watching it, that sort of all right, I guess I'm going along with this.
And the comedy ace in the hole, who is never too comedic, Alan Tudyk as KTSO, a reprogrammed Imperial strategy droid, who, as part of the reprogramming, now he just says what's on his mind. And it's not even in kind of the jabbermouth way that 3PO does it, where he'll just go, ah! This is him. He'll just say, "It sounds stupid."
Yeah.
He's your blunt friend. And he is glorious.
I was 50-50 on him.
Oh, I loved it.
And that had to do with not Tudyk's performance, which is always is pitch perfect, but with the writing. And there are a couple different moments in here that I thought that some of the comedy moments didn't quite land. There was a moment, the first time we see Darth Vader, he leaves with somebody else gave he gave a Mr. Freeze quip at the end, and you on my head I'm picturing he's going to his stormtroopers. Did you hear what I said? Was that cool? Did you like that?
That was off. That was deeply off.
Yes,
and that felt like I don't think you quite know what you're supposed to do. That I have a funny feeling, because we do know there were reshoots, I have a funny feeling that was something that was dropped in.
Yes.
It really feels like there's these moments that are just so tonally off from the rest of everything else that's done.
Yes.
If Marvel are listening, and if Bob Iger is listening, look, you're bringing these directors in to do something new with this. I know this is a lot of money we're talking about, but you know how much money you're going to make back on these films. Give them their heads. Don't go back in.
Yeah,
I really feel. People go, oh, well, everything goes back and does reshoots. There's a difference in going back and doing a reshoot because a shot didn't work, and then going back in and go, we want this to change. And the word is that the original version that was being the assembly print and even the work print were much more of a conventional war movie, and Disney kind of blanched at that. The war movie stuff is the stuff that works the best.
Yeah. Well,
which is really, really works phenomenally well.
When you get to the third act of this film, where it is, and it's not fair to say this is, I don't want to insinuate that this is saying this is just these scenes crunched together, because it's not. But it is scenes that remind you of the battle for Hoth, the battle to take the ground station on Return of the Jedi, and the trench Death Star war scene, all combined in one big scene together, but with so many differences that it's really hard to say. You would never feel like they're just doing that. They're just crunching them together. They just remind you enough of them. Plus, let's not face it, like gearheads, Star Wars gearheads are going to go crazy for this film.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? We won't say who they are.
Yeah, I don't want to say who they are because that is a huge spoiler.
They make a massive misfire with two characters that they bring back. Seemingly, I think when they decided to do this, they went to the casting reels from the Polar Express.
I know,
and went, hey. Weird CGI creation.
I
uncanny valleyed all the way through. There's two characters they did this from the original trilogy, and I went,
doesn't work.
Don't do this.
And there's no
hire Wayne Piger,
and there's no reason for it. I mean, like, you recast Mon Mothma, and we all went, that was fine. Looked great. But somebody went, no. These other characters are too distinctive. You can't recast. And I go, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe you can't recast. In which case, there's nothing that happens in this entire film that requires them to facially be on camera.
There's actually one moment where they do it really right with one character where you see them and they're clearly recognizable from the back of who they are. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of see their face in reflection.
That's a perfect moment.
That's how you do it.
Yes.
And then they have that character turn around and you go, no, you just screwed up.
You just fucked it up.
Not work up.
And then he's on screen for like another 10 minutes after that throughout the rest of the film. Like, not a small just here and there, like a lot. And you're like, I'm sorry, I felt like Robert Zemeckis came in to like direct those portions the second AD.
Yeah,
it's awkward and uncomfortable. It doesn't completely. It's a shame because you could have introduced a new character who would have been really interesting to fulfill that.
Like you said with Mon Mothma, just recast.
Yeah,
just recast and maybe do a bit of tweak in post. But
and for the record, the person who was doing one of those two characters, the voice, was not doing a good impression of the voice.
No.
Was not a good impressionist. I mean, seriously, was nobody better and available to do that?
That really just feels like an error. It's Sky Captain of the World of Tomorrow, and nothing has been learned from you.
I don't want to overemphasize those awkward moments because of how great so much of this is. Because it's nonstop fun for 2 hours and 14 minutes, more or less. But let's not forget, this is really dark. You might want to think about whether or not you want to bring your kids to this one, it's super dark.
Yeah, well, you know
not
what?
bloody, but like, and I will say that I think that a lot of the people I've talked to already who've seen this, like, were dudes who were like, I was just crying through the whole last 45 minutes of this film, and I was like, well, because we already knew going into Rogue One, ultimately this is a film about noble sacrifice, and nothing gets dudes more than noble sacrifice.
I will also point out that that's, you know, if you've survived the darkness of Sith is dark, and particularly I think people are going like, oh, well, there's going to be a lot of kids who, they're going to have issues with how dark and the fact that this is a legitimate war movie. And I'm like, I think you're forgetting. If you've got a Star Wars fan who's like in the 8 to 14 age range, they grew up with the Clone Wars, which is a war series.
That's true.
So I think they're probably a lot more prepared for what goes on and how much this means that I think you may lose characters.
Hollywood always underestimates how strong kids actually are.
Kids are tough, and when they're small, they also bounce.
Final thoughts?
After how much I hated The Force Awakens because I just don't think it understood Star Wars. Shut up, don't. That it just didn't understand Star Wars and it just gave you fan service. I think this is so deeply ingrained with the mythology and what it means and how you tell this kind of story. And, you know, I think what these anthology films are going to do, if they do them well, is evoke the spirit of the best of the comics.
Okay.
And the best of the books, which is saying, we aren't touching those core bits. We're bouncing off them. We're maybe absorbing some of them, but we're influenced by them. And we honor them. And we build upon them. And it does that so well.
Surprisingly, considering it's wedged right in the middle. This is Star Wars, what's that, 3.5?
Yeah, I mean, the cast is great. Top to bottom. I think it keeps that sense of darkness. Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect because there are those moments of excessive fan service. Also, some moments of fan service that are really stupid. There is one moment, and I've got to get this out there because it's actually in like pretty much the opening shot. They're on a planet where it's raining and there's moisture vaporators. No! No.
Okay,
like fan service. But, you know, overall...
misunderstood fan service, because there's so much gearhead fan service with, like, look at that ship. Oh my god, there's, like, every Star Wars ship from the original trilogy, and even ones that were just, you saw for a second, is there extensively. And the Clone Wars, yeah.
There's actually a Hammerhead cruiser, and I just...
Which, by the way, might be my favorite scene in the entire film.
It's so good. But, you know, overall, I just have to give this, 8 out of 10 ridiculous data storage systems.
Okay. The one thing I did not get to mention here, there's
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad you said that, because that ultimately ended up being my rating as well, because I was fighting myself all day. I'm like, it's either an 8 or a 9. It's not perfect. It's not neat. It's not. And you have to, like, reach inside yourself and go, like, oh, but I grew up with Star Wars and my love for it and the balance of all these things, and there are some things that are really wrong. And I settled on 8.5 and a fucking Black Stormtroopers, because there's a lot of them in this movie, out of 10. But there is another thing that really, like, brought it down from a 9 to me. There's a sequence that's, like, right in the middle of the film that's a big, like, that we were talking about before, that kind of defines what what's going on with the rebels at that point, the Alliance, and like why they're having trouble getting their shit together. That is really important to defining, the logic of this whole series in many ways. But it's not a terribly well acted scene. And I felt even Felicity Jones, who otherwise did a great job in this, she gets a chance to, like, do this big speech. And I felt it was very like, wait, are you the same person we just saw in the whole rest of this film?
Yeah, she suddenly seems to have taken oration lessons.
Yes.
Which didn't really feel,
but everyone in this scene kind of feels like they're overplaying it. And there's certain moments throughout the first half of this film where it's that way. It's like, you're overplaying this stuff, especially among the rebel folks. But I'm really kind of nitpicking more than anything else, because this is fun. It's emotional. if you have any connection to Star Wars at all, you're going to hi Bo, you're going to, I think, really love this thing. And I'm don't stab me. Oh, I will take you out with that. 8.5 out of 10. Fuck you, Richard. The Force Awakens was pretty good.
So wrong still.
No. Ow.
You've listened to Oneofus.net for years. Quality shows that have made you laugh and maybe even cry. But did you know they produce podcasts that you may not have even heard of? For just a few dollars a month, you have the opportunity to hear quality podcasts like The Breakfast Pub,
Clegane Bowl 2016! Get hype, motherfuckers!
The Original Gentleman.
I see this as an avenue to you becoming a huge chick magnet.
Oh, yeah.
And the Watch a Movie With Us series.
By the way, anybody thinking that his makeup is a little bit heavy here does not remember the 80s.
Oh, she's thinking about banking babies right now.
Oh, it turned into a phallic symbol.
Become a subscriber to Oneofus.net and choose your level of giving from Red Shirt, Brown Coat, Time Lord, and Jedi. And know that your donation will help bring quality oral entertainment to you for years to come. Thank you. And may Cthulhu devour your house last.